Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is going to be a video about Patreon, which in some corners of the internet can be a very dirty word, but in my particular area, I think it's an awesome word, and it is a word that helps contribute so much to enabling me to do what I do from day to day. And it is because of you. Yes, you. I'm talking about you. Who's listening right now. Because chances are if you clicked on this video, you are somebody who has an investment in the channel, and you're somebody who partakes in the channel, and you're somebody who cares, which is amazing. And the fact that these people exist is profound and ridiculous, but there you are, which is awesome. So normally on my channel updates, I go into Patreon explaining a little bit about it and giving you an update, but I didn't do it on the last one because the last one was just straight channel stuff, and I didn't have the means to get some of this information that I'm about to read. But I just want to begin by thanking the people since the last time I thanked my patrons who have pledged, who have put forward, and just outline an existing thank you to everybody who doesn't get voiced, who's still there doing everything they're doing. You are just as important and just as awesome. So these are the people who have jumped on and joined in on the Patreon bandwagon. So I have Amias, which I probably brutally murdered. I have Christopher, I have Daniel, I have Averth, and I have Johnny. So those are the people from the last time I did an update. Guys, I can't even begin to say enough. You know, every time I get to this point in these videos and I want to say something, what do you say to that? What do you say to people who actively like what you do enough to give their hard-earned money to you? You know, to help fund and help you progress and get better and grow. There are so many words in this language that we have. New ones are created every day, but I don't think we'll ever quite have just the kindness and the graciousness that these people show to do this. And it is incredibly profound, it is incredibly humbling, and it is a real motivator. It truly is. So guys, you're amazing. There's no other words. I can wow you with wordplay, I can go on rhetorics and soliloquies, but they just don't matter. The base fact stanzas, everybody who does this is incredible. And my Patreon at the moment is not the best service as far as a Patreon, like, I don't know what you would call it, a campaign? Do you think it's a campaign? I'm not too sure. I set up this, for those who don't know, with the express purposes of enabling people to have an avenue to fund the channel, to help the channel. And I did it because a lot of people asked. A lot of people asked, how can I help? And Patreon is one of the best places for this kind of stuff because it really does help, and it's crazy what can happen over there. Just look at any of the higher end up Patreons. They get massive, they get insane amounts of attention, and it enables them to, you know, become these incredible content producers that their fans believe them to be. And that is an amazing service that is offered, and at the moment I feel like mine is just kind of there. And don't get me wrong, from the beginning, I wanted Patreon to be something that people want to do rather than do so for other reasons, which is why I'm not really good when it comes to the whole goals and the perks and things like that, because to me, I think it kind of sours the notion of it. But at the same time, I 100% understand the idea of like a barter situation. You give your money, you get something back. And that's just one-to-one how the world works, isn't it? So that makes total sense to me, complete sense to me. But at the same time, it's something that I find really difficult. And I find it difficult because how do you quantify, you know, what anything is worth? You can look at artworks in museums, and to you, it just looks like some guy didn't know what he was doing, couldn't draw a day in his life, and then just chucked a bunch of shit on a canvas, wiped it around, smeared it a bit, and then it's selling for millions. So the whole idea of valuing something and committing value to something, I find to be a difficult proposition. I really do. And that's coming from somebody who I believe in the stuff that I do and the things that I make, and I believe wholeheartedly that it is quality and that it is worth people's time and attention. But I don't know how that equates to financial stuff. And it's one of those areas that I've never been too gifted at, too great at all, because I don't think my brain appraises it that way. But what I do know is it is a great incentive to get people to participate, as good old Darkside Phil says, and to get people interested in wanting to, you know, to go above and beyond the call. And the reason why that is an amazing thing is YouTube is completely sporadic Like, unless you are some crazy super, you figured out the Matrix, you're reading it, and you don't even have to blink, then you don't really know how well your channel's going to perform, regardless of what your analytics and your partnerships analytics will tell you. Because the way that the revenue is applied is just different now. So you can look like you've had your best month ever, but the ads that were played were perhaps the low tier ads. They're not, these ones didn't tell you to get your ass banned. They didn't tell you to donate immediately or I'd stop his stream. They were just kind of average ads, and they didn't do the job you thought they would, even though in spite of your numbers looking amazing, and then you get your paycheck and you're thinking, wow, Job Centre looks pretty good right now. And then there are other times when it's the complete opposite of that. You don't really think that anything special happened that month, but maybe something had a good ad on it and a lot of people saw it. They didn't skip it, they weren't using AdBlock, they weren't on their mobile phones, whatever it happens to be. And then your paycheck comes and you're like, God damn, I could do this for a living, I could actually eat food for a change. And there's no judging from one spot to another what that's going to be. And that's what makes it difficult when it comes to doing it that way, unless you use other means. And there's tons of other ways of dealing with it, and it's constantly an iterative, evolving process on how you can pursue this, what is a dream. This kind of idea that you get to do what you want to do and people pay you for it. That is not an easy thing to achieve, nor should it be. And it's something that should be both coveted and respected. And hard work is necessary in any walk of life, regardless of if it's a dream or if it's a dike. It doesn't matter, If you believe in it, you work hard for it, and that's what I've kind of always been about, and that's the amazing thing about Patreon. The money that comes through via Patreon, aside from people lowering pledges, which happens all the time because everybody's financial situation differs month to month, day to day. I don't want you giving me hard-earned money that you need to pay your bills, that's ridiculous. But the idea of Patreon is you almost always have a decent estimate of what you're going to get that month, and then from that, when it's augmented into what you got from YouTube and various other means, it adds up to something really profitable and something that looks like an awesome wage, which people want, people, kill for. People bust their ass for in once again Darkside Phil's terminology. He busts his ass, guys, 3 hours a day. And that's awesome. So that's what I would like to try building, even more so than I have at the moment. And I'm going to need a lot of help with it because, as I've mentioned, I'm not very good when it comes to assigning things that people think are interesting. I'm not very good at making perks that pull in the average guy. The people who support me are essentially the crazy people, the awesome people who are in deep, and they're in deep because they really like what it is that we're doing here, and I'm amazingly appreciative of all of them. But not everybody's like that, not everybody can be like that, and you need to appreciate this, and it's that balance, It's all about maintaining that balance and having that appeal. So I'm definitely going to be making the best effort I can to reevaluate and push my Patreon forward to maybe get some more people in there, get some more people involved, and get some better rewards for your time and your effort. Because this is a two-way street, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of people take for granted. It's easy to get up your own ass and believe your own bullshit and believe that you're this king on top of the world. It's difficult to go through doorways with your head that big, but it can happen to anybody, and I want to try and avoid that as best I can, because I will always look back to this idea and this notion that without you, I am just a dude holding a microphone on an empty stage. That's all it is. It's just this illusion that we're partaking in, and the magic is wonderful as long as there's an audience there believing the sleight of hand. Without that belief, I'm just a charlatan, and everything deserves work, I believe, especially if you believe in it and especially if you want to do it and you want to achieve it. So Patreon is going to be something that I'm going to try and put a bit more effort into, because I owe it to the people who are on there, and I owe it to the people who want to be on there. But just thank you guys, you can't really say it enough. It's a word that we use to the extent that it almost has no value. We've homogenized the term of being grateful, whereas you have to be grateful now because you were taught good manners when you were a child, or your parents beat them into you, or whatever the situation was. And it is such a ubiquitous term that flies around like bloody seagulls on the seaside near the fish and chip shop. It's just everywhere, but it still means something, and there's a value to that. So from the most sincerest place I can, thank you all so very much.